Authentic African radio swag. Fresh out the box. Homegrown radio. Ekaya. My home. Homegrown radio.
We got something recently from the president, and we had raised the issue of this museum, that it's very important, not only for now, but for generations to come. It's important that it's supported. And we're able to get something, and that's something we said hip-hop museum is the thing to go to. We need to put our money where our mouth is to hip-hop. In fact, you are not the only beneficiary this time around, because it wasn't very big kind of cake we got this time around. It was 15 million rands. And we said District 6 in Cape Town should benefit because of who District 6 is. We also said the Pants Museum in KwaZulu-Natal. So it's the three of you who are sharing in this cake. Now, we, from the shores of Cape Town, with the formation of the Prophet of the City and Black Noise in the late 80s, the establishment of the Le Club in Johannesburg, today hip-hop is global, and in South Africa is an expression of identity. You can't miss the point of identity. Each and everyone who's talking about it. I hear, well, we accept the fact that the movement started in the US. We accept that fact. But we also say that it has all the traces of Africa. Even if you look at some of the pioneers of hip-hop, even how they decided to be known, going back to the roots. I must make a disclaimer here that Africa Bambaataa and the Universal Zulu Nation is one such. And that tells you, the disclaimer I'm making is what happened later with Africa Bambaataa. But the fact of the matter that the origins are very much linked to Africa. We have Nkosi here with us. Is a living example of how hip-hop has been close to ourselves as Africa, not only South Africa. Now, we have said that 2 million will be used here for job creation. And we're looking at 844 new jobs, but also the retention of the current staff of 20 members with this initiative here. And the type of jobs that will be created will be for researchers and hip-hop artists between the ages of 18 and 35, and those, in all intents and purposes, are youth or young people. This cohort is finding it increasingly more difficult to gain experience. Wherever they go, this youth, people ask them about experience. So they find it difficult to gain experience and skills which they can take into the job market. That's 2 million rands we wanted to do, because this whole thing is premised on science. Science, evidence-based through research. And 7 million is for the rehabilitation of the space and infrastructure investment. The infrastructure investment will facilitate the hosting of workshops and talks. We'll also have a recording studio, as you have seen, an editing studio facility. The recording studio and editing studio will be open to the public. The workshops for the students will transfer skills to assist them that they will need for the journey ahead, and they also have an opportunity to have access into the space going forward once it's launched. The museum will also be collaborating with different people from the arts, culture, and heritage who do outreach programs and who also are interested in the spreading of knowledge. The various educational and skills transfer workshops that are already being set up are a 6-day music production workshop stroke masterclass for 20 students, headed by Neil Tesson, with guest lectures from artists such as Eltido. 2 workshop or masterclasses for 20 students, headed by legendary hip-hop producer, artist, none other than Ammunition. Guest lectures from artists such as Damani Nkosi and Omen, the chef, to name a few. 20-student DJ workshop that will be headed by the legendary Kenneth Nzama, Ken Zero, with 5 guest lectures. The music has already hosted a holiday program in Cape Town for the dance community that had guest lectures from legends such as DJ D and Ramon from the Prophets of the City. Since the beginnings of hip-hop as an underground urban movement in the US, as we have seen here in the 1970s, the global hip-hop industry has grown into multi-billion-dollar industry, crossing into the fashion industry, and that is why it's referred to as culture. It's not referred to as a genre, and it ends there. It's street wear, it's sneakers and jewelry, and mega music concerts and events, graffiti, and the movie industries. We are going to be with you in this journey. And what has impressed us most is that you know that for every cent which is coming from the fiscus has to be accounted for. My conclusion, I want to quote American hip-hop artist KRS-One, who was here, and he said, "Rap is what you do, hip-hop is what you live." Thank you very much.
Believe in the potential. Believe in you. Homegrown Radio. Ekhaya, my home. Africa's gift to its tribe. Homegrown Radio.
It is your boy Token Toby, aka Toby. I said it twice, so you know that I mean it. And look, guys, we're not here at Homegrown, but we are homegrown here at Newtown, based at the South African Hip Hop Museum. For something to happen and for it to be rocking and relevant, especially now, there's like blood, sweat, and tears. There's never success.
Like everything else, man. Right. I mean, for democracy to happen,
right?
I mean, on a change of regime, there's always, there's still battles, man. Like
right.
if there were never battles, it's never worth fighting for. In every, like even in chemistry, right. When one thing changes another form, there needs to be some kind of,
right? Not
violence, but some kind of sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like to turn water into steam. You need to boil it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Things don't just naturally happen.
Yeah.
Something has to happen. If you want ice, you need to go through, rigorous conditions for it to turn into ice that you can use. You know what I mean? So the same thing with hip hop. For it to get where it is now, sacrifices had to be made. It wasn't just a normal, you know what I mean? Absolutely. And unfortunately, the ones that spark, because I mean, when someone makes a cup of tea, you know what I mean? Everyone thinks of the cup and the tea, but never the fire that made that tea, that turned that water, you know what I mean? But you needed that fire, so you sit there and you enjoy the cup of tea, but you forget about the fire that gave you the tea. So it's always like that with cultures.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I never take offense to young people not knowing who I am. And that's a natural way of life, that fam, you know what I mean? Because if I was sitting here 30 years later and none of this was happening, I would have felt bad. If there was no Casper, if there was no Narcissi, you know what I mean? If there was no MT, I would feel bad. Like, yo, Kanti, what were you fighting for?
Right.
But now when I sit here and I see all these kids doing these amazing things, I'm like, some of them I don't like the sound, but it's not about me. Some of them I think they're whack. I mean, in my era, they wouldn't have survived. A lot of them, you know what I mean?
Right.
But that's not for me to critique. You know what I mean? Like as a hip hop head, we'll sit and have our little cipher and speak the truth. You know what I mean? We speak the real as hip hop heads, but because I'm a purist at the end of the day. But I see the benefit of these kids being out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And those are two different conversations. Absolutely. So now we're having a nice conversation about hip hop, but you know what I mean? Like when school is out and we're chilling in the corners, the real comes out like, dog, you whack. But I'll never come out and say that in public. So that's how I view hip hop right now.
So they see the shine, but they don't see the grind, basically.
No, a lot of them see the grind. They do see the grind, but there's no cool in seeing the grind.
Right. Right.
I mean, you can't be out there, you the man, and you're shouting out another guy, and you're giving all the props to another guy that came before you.
That's something that personally I look. So I'm surrounded by people. For example, you're talking about the era now, and the era back then. It's a whole lot of, there's a lot of bubble gum, not really much substance, and now it's about having fun. It's not really about the frame and the base of the work and what you can put out, because now you can literally put out a whole album and only one track, and it takes that one track to blow up, right? Back then you needed a whole formula,
you needed a body of work,
a whole body of work. Now it's not really about that, it's about the cloud. So for me it's like that's cool and all, but then where does it root or stem from? And I think people like you, like Jabba, and all of those people, like they don't really get the recognition now. They don't, like...
you say that you make it sound like we never had fun. And we were these grumpy old uncles like... No, man, hip-hop started off as fun, you know what I mean? If you look at Sugar Hill Gang, you look at, Abu Cool Herd, it was all about fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then as hip-hop grew, there were necessities, like in the community, like there's gang issues, there's drug issues, so we need to address those issues. But hip-hop started out as a fun, you know what I mean?
Right.
So right now, the hip-hop that we get from like the Cardi B's, and we should never blame them. Okay. We should find out why our rappers rapping like this.
Okay.
Why is this a subject matter?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like not I'm not saying it's good that they rap about getting high, because a lot of them rap about suicide and
depression
and drugs and so let's find out why these kids are rapping and why the other kids are gravitating towards that sound. You know what I mean? Like I understand what you're saying, Guti. The guys that are rapping about that is wrong. Fine. But that's a symptom.
Absolutely.
So let's find out the cause of, you know what I mean? Like I'm tired of being that grown guy that's like, yo, you kids are wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? So clearly there's cracks in the foundation that we create.
AKA Toby, I said it twice, so you know that I mean it. And look, guys, we're not here at Homegrown, but we are homegrown here at Newtown, based at the South African Hip Hop Museum.
Authentic African radio swag. Fresh out the box. Homegrown Radio. Ekaya. My home.
So Damani, the way I spell my name is D-A-M-A-N-I. It's a Yoruba name.
Okay.
Right? It means thoughtful.
Oh, Yoruba name. Okay. So Nigeria, right?
So if you spell it D-O-M-A-N-I, then that's an Italian name, and it means Domani means tomorrow in Italian.
Okay.
And I'm Damani, which means thoughtful in the Yoruba language.
Wow. You are doing something with Snoop Dogg, right?
In the past, I started my career as a battle rapper, you know what I'm saying? And from there, I started writing for different artists, you know, Snoop, Dre. I started with Dre. That's who Dr. Dre. I started writing rhymes for him, and then for myself, of course, started putting out mixtapes. So I got popular on the streets at home from a bunch of my mixtapes.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of my songs from mixtapes went on radio. You know what I'm saying? Independently. So I did very well independent. You know what I'm saying? Just real grassroots. Pressing them up on CD and giving them out until it got a buzz around the neighborhood and in other people's neighborhoods and then outside of California. You know what I'm saying?
Growth.
Yeah, and then that's how I came up in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's also about, it is about not just your body of work, but how did you get there? And it's like people see like the flashing lights and the shine, but they don't see the grind, right? So
no.
They don't see the grind. So it's like the barrier between that. But then you got to fight that as an artist and as a person, because you can't really expect the viewer or the listener to understand, holistically what you were going through as well.
Man.
So I think Africa, right, is musically inclined, especially hip hop inclined as well.
Super.
Right. But then we put the U.S. on a pedestal because the movement that's where it started. The movement and making it, a thing, right? For us, it was just music.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the contrast between the African hip hop and South Africa and U.S. hip hop? Like how does it incorporate? How does it complement one another?
I mean, hip hop is born out of oppression. Once the government and once the laws are against us, where it almost feels like it's illegal to be black. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we'll never die, we'll never fall. So we come up with a culture that enables us to express ourselves and inspire, each other.
Right.
So it's not that like you guys are probably putting us on a pedestal, more so that like you see. We see ourselves in you, and you see us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So apartheid, going through that, and like you're looking for something to motivate you to feel good about yourself, because being oppressed is depressing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we exchange an energy.
Right.
Because we are the same people, really.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We just got different colonizers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So with that, as you guys in South Africa be inspired by American hip hop, here I am inspired by South African hip hop.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's no competition. There is just brothers and sisters expressing themselves against oppression.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the idea.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You go and branch off and do what you want. We party, we chill, we make love in the music. It's war in the music. It's a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? But we are trying to do this.
Right.
We're trying to come together. We're trying to build.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
What you just explained is culture.
No doubt.
What you just explained is culture. So it's a little bit of war. It's the yin and yang. It's the contrast between the two. I think the reason why we resonate with each other so much, whether we hate or love each other, right? But there's a love relationship in it. Is that we see and we feel it. We feel each other. It's an understanding. We understand, right? Without even saying anything, we know. Okay, my brother, my sister. Type of thing. And I think that's what keeps us fighting as well.
No doubt.
In this world that is, we know we gotta dominate. I think we don't know it yet, but we are dominating, right? Musically, sport-wise, educated-wise, everything. We just widen our spectrum in terms of the world of just of hip hop and everything else. Because for me, music, not just hip hop, but music is like my second mother.
No doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
For me, it's really personal, and I love that. I love how it shapes and helps people, and it's put food on people's plates.
No doubt. So I have an album called Thoughtful King.
Right.
That's the album that brought me here.
Right.
A lot of people here gravitated toward that album, and so they nurtured me, and I'm giving back. Like we just, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
See, the enemy of the black man and woman are friends and doing business together all around the world. So why we can't? We come? If I come in love and peace, and you as well,
right?
Yeah, we should build a bridge.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's no reason why we shouldn't do that.
So let's talk about, just close it off a little bit. Tell me about your name. So it's not just the money, but what's
my middle name is Nkosi.
Nkosi. You guys heard it here at Homegrown.
Yeah.
His middle name is Nkosi, right?
Yeah.
Look, and to them, so what does it mean? What does Nkosi mean?
So Nkosi is king.
Right.
Lord.
Right.
Chief.
Right. You got it.
So I went to KZN back in 2017 and talked to one of the head chiefs
right.
of that clan, and he gave me a lot of history and gave me some understanding of what I was carrying with me. You know what I'm saying? And so I just finished a new album here. It's called "Don't Forget to Remember Your Name." This is the first time I ever said it. So I just finished mixing it, and Mbusu Koza comes on and he does the Tagaze. You know? And so I have my dad come on and speak, and we just give our reverence and our love and appreciation. And it's just sort of like a rite of passage, if you will. You know what I'm saying? So I come with respect and love, and you know what I'm saying. That's how we gonna do.
If you come with respect and love, you're only gonna get respect and love.
There it is,
and that's what it is.
Homegrown.
Homegrown. Shout out. And look, guys, I'm here with the money. Ngozi King as well, and he's coming here with peace and love and nothing but respect. And just before you leave, and we let you go, unfortunately, because we would love to have you here for like a long time.
Okay.
But, you know,
okay.
Please shout out to us. We are Homegrown Radio. We have been up and running for a year right now.
Okay.
We are the fastest growing online radio station right now.
Okay.
It's fact. You can check it
That's
out.
What's up. Shout out to Homegrown Radio. You know what I mean?
So just give us a shout out, whatever you need to say.
What up? This is Damani Nkosi. I'm representing live from South Africa. I'm from Inglewood, California. Homegrown Radio to the top. You know what I'm saying? Started from the bottom, end up at the top. You know what I'm saying? Homegrown. Peace and love.
Authentic African radio swag. Fresh out the box. Homegrown Radio. Ekaya. My home. Homegrown Radio. Ekaya. My home.
Yo, it is your boy Token Toby, aka Toby. I said it twice, so you know that I mean it. And we're not at Homegrown, but we are as Homegrown here at Newtown, based at the Museum of Hip Hop, or Hip Hop Museum here in South Africa. And I'm not alone, I'm with DJ Switch.
You had to think about that one.
DJ, not even. I had to take a pause. Because
what to do, man?
I shout out to you. Shout out to you for being here. Thank you for your time. Let's get it rocking. So I'm just gonna ask about the preservation of hip hop. How important is that? How do we preserve hip hop as a South African nation?
I mean, it's clear now to say the notion that hip hop is dead. We need these kind of things, But once again, like I've just been saying right now, is that hip hop is not dead.
Right.
And if you think you're gonna come and save hip hop, you can't save hip hop. It's gonna save you.
For
right?
Sure. Yes,
and the reason being is that it's put a lot of food on people's tables. It's helped a lot of people.
Right.
Preserving it is one way to keep it rich.
Right.
Knowing when you get into this culture, why you're here,
right.
What are you doing it for, and where you're going to with it. Because if you see people like Prophet of the City or Black Noise,
right.
A picture of Jabba or PRO,
right.
If you don't know those people, you need to find out.
Right.
You better know. Right. And I think when you understand why you're in this whole thing,
right.
You won't be here for a short time. You'll be here for a very long time.
Okay.
Even though our sphere, our realm is evolving, it will evolve. We're looking for the new, torchbearer. We're looking for that torchbearer because as much as there's an OG carrying it, they can't carry it forever.
Right.
You understand? So we need those new guys to come. We need the Nasticies. We need the Constitutions. We need the Aries, the MTs. We need them to take it further.
Right.
But they also need to find out who they are in this.
Right.
And if they're here for a short time, then they won't be. They're not the ones. They're not the chosen ones.
Right.
You get me?
Right.
So the preservation here, it just shows you that how these people dedicated their time, their effort, their craft, so that all these new guys can live the life that they're having today.
Absolutely. So you came into the game, people now know you as DJ Switch, but when you came in, you had a whole lot of an array of people, right? Just like Constantine has your Blackie, has your new age. When you were new at your time, right? Obviously you had older heads, right?
Yeah.
So how did you take the strain, or if there was any strain, how did you?
There's strain in everything.
Right.
There's strain in everything. There's always going to be somebody better than you.
Right.
And the only way you can just remember, hip hop is a battle. It's a constant battle of who's the best.
Right.
Who's the best in the house? Who's the best right here?
Right.
And if you can't step up, and say, look, I'm the best. I deserve to be here. And you got to show why you got to be here.
Absolutely.
Then your peers are not really pushing you.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can walk and you can look at it and say like, I don't need to battle. I don't need to.
Right.
But that just means that you don't have the battle edge.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, hip hop is all about who's the best and why there's beef and all this. And it's a battle to show that I've got a skill. Recognize me for my skill.
Right.
Even if I have a peer of whether it be Ammunition, whether it be DJ Ready D, DJ Azul, rather learn from them and then become better and beat them at their own technique. It's it's art of war.
Right.
That's what hip hop is about. It's art of war. Who's the best? Who can make it better? Who can take it to the next level? And when you don't battle yourself and challenge yourself, it's you versus you all the time. But you need to up. You need to up. Why should we know that you're the number one artist?
Right.
Why? Right. What are you doing different? How are you evolving? How are you giving back? How are you adding value? What makes you different? What changes everything that is supposed to be the normal DJ Switch?
Right.
What makes you now the mixtape king? Because that's who I am. I'm the mixtape king, DJ Switch.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Right. So it's like, why? Because I got more mixtapes out than any other DJ in South Africa. So I am the mixtape king. Right. If anybody can put out more, then put it out. Right. But until then, I hold the crown.
And you did talk about hip hop being the best. So you have to come out as the best at something that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. In the element. If you're the best graffiti artist, show us why you are. Right. If you're the best radio presenter, show us where you are.
Right.
If you're the baddest and the fastest rapper, then show us why you are.
Right.
If you're good at DJing, show us why you are.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you don't rock a crowd, show us on your skills. Like, can you do a scratch? Can you do things that we've never seen before?
Right.
Show us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. This is a sport. It's a culture. It's a sport. It's sitting in a ring and going at each other with the intent to be better than each other or help each other get better.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna close it off with just two things. One is going to be the roles to play. So obviously there is a game, right? Where people play their roles. There's your ref, there's your player, there's your bench player, there's your six man that gets inside. There's all those people, and then there's a crowd. And then I'm going to talk about longevity. But let's get into the roles, right? What are the roles of for example, you? What is your role in the hip hop, industry?
Right now, it's to help up and coming artists.
Right.
Now, I've also got a podcast going right now, and it's like I've helped artists to find the new gem, to find out who is the new Nasty C, who is the new Black. You need to find them.
Right.
It might not be me, but there might be somebody else also looking for them. But my role right now is to help that and open up the doors. Right. So on my podcast, we're giving cats a platform to have their first interview because TV and radio are dying.
Right.
And only the best of the best are on those platforms. The up and coming guy's looking for his first radio interview.
Right.
He's never sat in front of a camera or in front of a presenter or maybe somebody that they would say is an OG.
Right.
They never get that interaction. They're gonna go to a TV presenter who's just gonna ask them about their biography, but never really engage and ask like, why are you actually here?
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So it's now my role is to help those. Right? And some people are like, but you still gotta work with the OGs, but then it's like, but then what about these guys?
Right.
But what if we fuse it together? What do we have both OGs and newcomers, and if they're worthy, then we can put them on a track. Or we can put them in the same room.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's my role right now, and that's what I've always been doing, is to find the up and coming, and let's put them with somebody that's prominent, and let's put them on the same level and show them like, the new guy is worthy to be here.
Right. I like, and just to close things off right now, I like the fact that you're talking about, instead of just handing the baton, right, you're fusing. Right? Correct. And what about, and fusing is something that a lot of people don't even think about. There's like, okay, no, you had your era, here's my era. But what if you
that's
fuse
ego.
Right.
That's just ego. That's also part of hip hop. Egos.
Right.
It's part of the game.
Right.
You can't go and battle someone if you don't have an ego. Keenan said it, he's got an alter ego. That's why, we all alter egos.
Right.
Our stage names are alter egos.
Right.
We become somebody different when we in front of the decks, when in front of a crowd. We become, the DJ Switch. We become, the Costa Titch, the Blackie. We become those people.
Right.
But at home, I'm Morgan.
Right. Right.
It brings it down to ground zero.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's about. And it hits when you're like, it hits when you're sitting at home for like a year because of the pandemic, and you're like, actually, this is just my normal life.
Right. This is your boy Token Toby, aka Toby. I did say it twice, so you know that I mean it, and I'm with DJ Switch.
The mixtape king, baby.
For sure.
Authentic African radio swag. Fresh out the box. Homegrown radio. Ekaya. My home. Homegrown radio.
My name is Kiana, based on his Major Keys. We are live at the launch of the Hip Hop SA Museum. This is a space where all crafts and all inspiring things are happening, and I'm not alone. I am sitting with Mr. Selwyn Ngwenya today.
Yeah, man. It's more of a pre-launch of the South African Hip Hop Museum.
Yeah.
Pioneering a new thing. what's great about it is it's one of the permanent museums that are going to live here forever. Not in the entire world do you get a hip-hop museum that is permanent. There are the ones that have popped up in different cities around the world, but in South Africa, one of a kind to be established, and we are very proud of what's happening today.
So Selwyn is exactly a hip hop legend, right?
Yeah,
can we talk a bit about your music? Starting up as a young person, what was your music like in the hip hop compared to now? What is it like? What's the difference right now?
There isn't really much difference as far as human beings being able to tell their story. So hip hop is always about being able to tell your story, being able to expose your uniqueness, your intelligence, things that bother you, things you aspire to be. And one of the things that is predominant about hip hop, we always speak inspiration. Yeah. We're not always trying to delve into being sad and stressed. It's very expressive and very future invested. I'm going to be this. I'm going to rise. Always positive minded. So that has been the same. The only difference between my type of hip hop and now is the mindset. Everything about integrity, everything about loyalty, everything about honor is what we used to ensure. I would never come up with a song knowing that there are other dope MCs and I don't consult to say, do you think my stuff is fresh? To a point where if I'm in studio, and if you can look at what Kanye is doing, if you watch his YouTube, they're always saying he's very tough to work with because it will always make you rewrite your verse and other stuff. That's where I come from, because you needed to have that expertise, that environment to be able to make you be the best. So loyalty, honor, and respect is where I come from. And you can never fake or sound as the next guy. Yeah. So if Young Thug was the one sounding the way he does, a next artist cannot sound exactly like him. That's where I come from. Your voice needed to be unique. That's why you had a group of artists that represented a movement like the Native Tongues. Yeah. You had Tribe Called Quest, you had Black Sheep, you had, they talk that conscious rap, but they don't sound the same. Yeah. So that's the difference between me and 88 and now.
So talking about environments, right? I want to talk about Lee Club. Tell us more about Lee Club. What is it about?
Lee Club was a temple. Lee Club was a meeting place. Lee Club was where we had the grace to be able to be one, because we were fighting the same elements, being called names, ubizwa mapanga, because of the way you dress, because of the slang that we were, learning how to speak, the twang, So we came into one place where we were the most misunderstood, because hip-hop was only about 10, 15 years old by the time it caught up with us. So we met at one place where you will never hear a hip-hop song on radio. You will never see a hip-hop music video on our local television. So we had screens, we had tapes that we were watching, and we will have the latest hip-hop songs, hip-hop albums that had just come out. Yeah. So by the time Snoop had released Doggy Style, it was only pushed on South African radio 3 months later when we first heard it. So Lee Club was a temple, a meeting place of new, fresh fashion, culture, MCing, showing off your skills. Yeah. If you have watched 8 Mile, that was Lee Club. We lived it.
You look like 8 Mile,
We lived it.
Powerful words,
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try something out, right?
Right.
I'm gonna try and rap. I'm not really a huge hip hop fan, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna do this. All right. So I'm chilling with Sal Walungwenya, Crocodile. You better know how to put your file when you dial the number for the hip hop hippity dop dop.
Nice try. You had some few rhymes over there.
Are you in the challenge?
Not much of a challenge. Yeah. But I don't do a lot of scrimmage. But we're just gonna have to put it on the palette, or should I say palace? Because somehow, some way you gotta kick out the menace because sometimes rhymes just flow out the mind, but you just gotta make sure that your brain is not intertwined.
Dope stuff. Thank you so much.
Kind of sloppy and rusty, but it doesn't matter.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's about it. This is Homegrown live at the Museum Africa. This is for the Hip Hop South Africa Museum pre-launch, right?
Yeah, man.
So yeah, this is about it. We really appreciate you, Sal.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate the hip hop legend, and that's about it. Signing out to you.
Peace.